All right, we're ready. Hello, welcome back everyone. So today we will be discussing the continuation of the Vogue series, The Future of Fashion. Last time we discussed the future of fashion shows, and today we're just going to do a wrap-up series of the future of creativity, the future of e-commerce, and the future of brick and mortar. So let's start with the future of creativity. I had no idea Marc Jacobs was so profound. He really opened up about the struggles he's been dealing with through this entire pandemic. He wasn't even able to produce his line that he just put out the fashion show for, the one Miley Cyrus featured in. I'll link the fashion show below so you can check it out if you want to see his collection. But unfortunately, all of his textiles were caught in Italy and he wasn't able to even get those textiles and put them into production. So he actually will not be producing that line. It hardens my heart because it was such a fabulous collection. It's just one of the many issues that we're seeing with this pandemic and how it's affecting every single person in fashion. But he also looked to the future, and this is something that I really loved, and I think he set the pace for the rest of the conversations, because Marc was the first one that I actually heard to speak about the future of the entire world as a new reality. So many people have been using the language of, I can't wait until things are back to normal. I can't wait until things get back the way they were before COVID-19. Unfortunately, the reality is this might be a new normal for us. I'm not saying that we'll stay on lockdown or we'll be quarantined for years on end, but I do believe that there's going to be a new standard of practice, and it's not just going to go back to normal how we know the world to be and how we interacted with people before this happened. I think Marc was the first person that I saw really connect to that new reality and discuss it very openly. And he said, I'm not creating any new collection right now. And Edward kept asking why. Marc answered very candidly and he said, I honestly don't feel any inspiration. So this is something that is completely opposite when Stella McCartney talked about how her collections are determined so ahead of time that this pandemic isn't really affecting her in terms of supply chain, but it's not affecting her brand and how she has laid out the next collections to come. And she was talking about how more people should follow that standard of practice, but a lot of people don't create that way. They create when inspiration strikes them. So I understand both schools of thought, but I think that Marc is completely justified in not creating things because he doesn't feel inspired right now. Anyways, I retract. Marc was also quoted saying, the amount of stuff we make and the amount of time it's shown, it's just so excessive. We've done everything to such excess that there is no consumer for all of it, and everyone is exhausted by it. It's all become a chore. Supply chain has really gotten in front of fashion and how it's become such a monster in and of itself that designers can't really keep up, which was a theme we discussed in the last video. He also discussed how you don't really need more than 2 collections or 2 showings per year. I think that was a monumental thought as well. It's really incredible to see someone who's such a pinnacle and such a standard of the industry talking about these issues so openly, because it really defies everything that we know about fashion. It defies everything we know about having 6 to 8 collections a year, being ahead of the times, setting trends, always having something new, always innovating, always pushing. Those were the most important thoughts in my opinion, so I wanted to share those with you. Now moving on to brick and mortar and e-commerce. I have sandwiched these two together because I think that they really go hand in hand. Now, how did this compare to the other conversations, such as the one including Stephanie Fair? She had a lot of insight about what we can expect in the days to come. She discussed how a lot of people didn't believe that Farfetch would ever work, and she kind of made a little joke about how back in 2006 that no one thought that e-commerce would become such the monster that it is now. On top of that, Priyatana of Vogue India discussed how e-commerce was supposed to triple, so 3.5x, triple and a half the size that it was by the end of 2020. It was supposed to go from $4 billion to $14.4 billion in revenue through e-commerce this year. That is insane. Truly, what a figure. A lot of people believed that more people would be online and shopping more than ever during this time, but obviously as a lot of people have lost their jobs, they're not going to be buying as much fashion items, specifically luxury fashion items, because they don't have that disposable income anymore. Emanuele Farnetti of Italian Vogue, or he also runs L'Uomo, he led the talks through the brick and mortar discussions. Pete Nordstrom was on the call, Tory Burch was also on the call, and La Rinascente, the CEO, which is a top department store in Italy, they were also on the call. Pete Nordstrom, he stated that we don't necessarily sell things people need, but we sell things people want. Now, this was the complete antithesis to the conversations that Angelica Cheung of Vogue China led through the future of e-commerce with Virgil Abloh, Remo Ruffini, and Stephanie Fair of Farfetch and British Fashion Council. Angelica was very persistent when she continued to ask Virgil specifically how he was going to invigorate all of his customers to continue buying his product. All the fashion figures on the call gave similar answers. They discussed how it wasn't about marketing, it wasn't about selling products at this time, it was about connecting with the customers. Remo specifically stated that if he engages with his customers on multiple platforms, he sees 4 times the sales that he does if he only relates to someone through his e-commerce site or if he only has one touch point with his customers. A lot of people at this time are so worried about keeping their brands afloat, and obviously to keep their brand afloat, they have to sell more product. But a lot of them had very mindful responses, how they wanted to come out on top. And by doing this, they wanted to focus on sustainability, look at their fashion supply chains differently, as well as reimagine a different way of leading their brand and a way that they can be more morally focused and be more customer first. Virgil discussed specifically that fashion should become more of a service base and listen to the customer and their needs and their wants rather than dictating what should be sold or what should be bought by the customer. He discussed how he wanted to have more young minds in Off-White's production line and how he wanted to discuss possible solutions in this unprecedented time. So many academics and so many sustainability mentors have been discussing this and screaming about this for years, about how fashion needs to take a look in the mirror and discuss the real problems and change the way we've been pursuing fashion and the way we've been in this cogwheel and not able to innovate other than put out new clothing that people don't want and they don't need, but they're marketed at, and they have to buy these things because it's told to them or dictated to them that they have to have these things to be relevant. It's very difficult, it's unsustainable, and it's so great that we're discussing this now. Vittorio Radice of La Rinascente, he discussed specifically how we should go back to a more bespoke experience with the customer and how we should connect with our customers on a more personal level. Stephanie Fair also discussed about how brick and mortar stores or physical in-person stores will become more of a billboard. That's just a fascinating concept to me. She discussed how it would become a marketing touch point for customers. So it doesn't matter if they buy online, but if they're able to go into the store, discuss with an expert about the brand strategy, be more transparent about the supply chain, about their sustainable efforts, where the textiles come from, who's producing the garments, from what country. She discussed how walking into the store will be a completely different experience. You'll be able to touch and feel the clothing, talk to brand ambassadors, learn more about the brand, see if that brand's identity connects with your own, and then go online and complete your purchase. I think this is a very interesting way forward, and these conversations have really brought about new ideas, not only on a way forward, but these conversations are shaping the way forward. As these people get together, they're discussing ideas and being able to collaborate on solutions. And I think this is the most important thing to do in this time, is to come together. And the way the fashion industry has come together and supported one another, maybe even of past competitors or people that maybe didn't see how they connected before, they're really connecting now because we're all brought together by what's going on in the world right now. And I think even though it's sad and it's scary, it's also really beautiful and empowering if we can all come together, find solutions together, and be able to shape a better way forward. And that's something that was echoed in so many of the people that were on the talks, because they discussed so many solutions that really could come to fruition with their power behind it. Before, they were just ideas, but now, since we've been catapulted into this necessity and that we need these solutions and we need them now, they're possibly going to come to fruition much quicker. So thank you so much for tuning in again. Thank you so much for all the support. I hope that, again, this is kind of taking your mind off of the time so far. I hope everyone's staying safe and everyone's families are healthy, and I hope to talk to you guys soon. All right, see you soon.